talking with Rutherford County newsmakers for 78 years. This is the WGNS Action Line. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
On this half of the program, we'll be talking about ROTC and the 75th anniversary of the ROTC program at MTSU. And joining us in studio, we have Colonel Ricky Smith and Lieutenant Colonel Arlen Wilshire. How are both of y'all doing this morning?
Oh, it's a great day to be an old soldier.
Nice day for it.
Yeah, current soldier as well.
Colonel, when did you retire?
I entered the Army in 78 from Middle Tennessee State, and I took the uniform off in 2006 and converted over to be a senior executive at the Pentagon and did not return back to Murfreesboro until 2019.
I bet that was interesting.
41 years.
The Pentagon is something that I would say most in the Army don't have a chance of actually working there.
And most of them try to avoid it.
And then, Lieutenant Colonel, tell us a little bit about your background.
So I'm a career aviation officer in the United States Army and also a Black Hawk pilot. Joined in 1999 and have been lucky to serve every level of command up to this point, and then was selected 2.5 years ago to the ROTC program at MTSU, where we have been training the Army's future leaders. And that's why we're really excited about this opportunity to pause and recognize the 75-year tradition of doing that.
For those who are not familiar with ROTC, I know everybody's heard of it, but they may not really know how it operates at the college level. How does that work?
We get cadets and students in a myriad of ways. Some are high school seniors who come to college and come on a scholarship, which is a great opportunity that we have for young high school seniors. If they apply to the National Scholarship, they can come and have their tuition paid for by the United States Army, and they are contracted cadets, and they go through a 4-year program. We also have college students who just join and decide, hey, I'd like to learn a little bit about the Army. And so the first 2 years, which would be your freshman and sophomore year in college, you can just take ROTC as a class. Those who do it and decide, I think I'd like to join the Army and become a leader, become an officer, they can then contract and do their second half, which would be their junior and senior year, and then they also graduate and commission as officers. And last way are actual serving soldiers who decide they want to become leaders and officers, and if they have already gone through basic training at some point from any service, they can join ROTC as juniors. They're only required to do 2 years of training, and all of those groups, when they get that college diploma and they've completed at least those last 2 years of training, they are second lieutenants in the United States Army. They can serve active, reserves, or National Guard.
Right. So the Army after World War II realized they didn't have enough educated, trained officers at the ready when they have to expand again. So the Reserve Officer Training Corps was created. However, you can be commissioned in regular Army, Army Reserve, or the Army National Guard. So you get all three components when they are commissioned coming out of college. And one of the requirements is a bachelor's degree.
Now, you also have those who, and I think you mentioned this, those who were enlisted and they decide they want to go back to school, go to college. How does that work for them, and can they get into the ROTC program itself?
Absolutely. They certainly can. We have a large group of veterans on campus that come back to school using their GI Bill. Now, those obviously have no requirements to come back to the Army, but should they choose to, all that's required of them is 2 years of training, which we call the MS3 and MS4 years. They can be juniors and seniors, or they can actually be graduate students going through that program as well. And so they just bring that experience as enlisted soldiers or airmen, Marines, and we take all services, and they get trained specifically in Army leadership, and they also commission as second lieutenants when they are complete.
And this year marks 75 years of having an ROTC program at Middle Tennessee State College and now the university. We've produced 1,613 Army officers so far. The origins, though, when they first stood up in April of 1950, it was solely for armor officers, tanks. And in fact, there was a tank assigned on campus, and it was there on campus. And there was, most people don't realize, there was also flight training on campus, and the runway was right there. The hangar building is still on campus.
Most people
don't realize that.
So they actually flew planes into
right out of it. This is when the
campus.
farm was still there on campus. Now it's more like the middle of campus, but that's where it was. So it's been quite active. And then in the early years, we did transition from being armor only to what I'll call the general branching, where you can go into all the different branches. And in fact, as far as our records show, we've commissioned an officer in every branch of the Army I'm still trying to confirm that we had a veterinarian, but we've had every other one, and the newest one, cyber, was commissioned 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
See, now that's interesting because you don't even think about, well, there's a veterinarian in the Army. There's all these different needs that the Army has to fill on a regular basis.
Right. And we're going to have a ceremony April the 10th at 11 a.m., and the public's invited. We really are seeking our alumni from the program to join us. It'll be at the memorial. There's a Veterans Memorial on campus. Most people may not realize it, with a wall and the names of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the nation, who had been students there at MTSU. And so it's by the Tom Jackson building, and we're going to not only celebrate the actual event, and we have a Tennessee resolution, House Resolution 101, signed all the way through to the governor. We're also going to induct 2 new members into our ROTC Hall of Fame, and we will have a couple of speakers there to come through it. One of our former adjutant generals of the state of Tennessee, which is one of our alumnus. So we're looking forward to having a good day that day.
Well, a lot of those who graduated from MTSU and the ROTC program, they have gone on to do some major things in the world.
Absolutely.
I think so. But most people don't realize Judge Ben Hall McFarland Jr. is one of our alumni, as well as Congressman Bill Shacklet. I mean, they're just, you don't continue everyone in a career, but as we like to say, you're a soldier for life, and so you serve your nation and your community even when you take the uniform off. And I think that's true all across the Middle Tennessee area and the nation.
When you look back at the history of ROTC on the MTSU campus, what are some of the things that stand out to you the most?
Well, I'm personally proud of the fact that we had 2 national championships. Twice this program has been named the #1 in the country. My year group in 1978, and another.
You seem proud of that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that. Yep. We also had MTSU's first team All-American athlete in 1974. Cadet Dickie Floyd was selected because of small bore riflery, like the Olympic shooting. We've even had an Olympic athlete, Tommy Haynes, who went on to medal in the Pan American Games, was a track coach at West Point, and competed in the Olympics. And those are sort of things that people don't really think about. We've also produced 17 general officers.
Wow.
Now, 10 of them are still with us. Some of them passed. And for the ceremonies, we've got at least 6 of those 10 are going to come back and join us for that event. So it really is a very robust program. The roots are very deep here in the community. We're well supported across the board. And the administration at the university is really supportive.
They're very, very helpful. They've always supported the ROTC program, ensuring that we're able to take our cadets, ensure that they are well trained and ready to serve. So sometimes that means we have to pull them out of class a little bit earlier to go train. We actually last week were at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Thursday through Sunday, where our cadets were training hard, getting ready for their upcoming events this summer.
Interesting, he said Fort Campbell, because we have one of our 1951 cadets who's going to join us for the ceremony, Colonel retired Charles. He goes by Charlie Pig. And he told us that they went to Fort Campbell to train when he was a cadet.
Oh, wow.
He also let us know that the original rifle range on campus was in the basement of the Alumni Gymnasium building. That's where the Army had set up everything there. So you learn these things by going back through the history and talking to people that are still with us.
When you look at some of those accomplishments that the ROTC program at MTSU has done and been a part of, how do we stack up compared to other states and other universities?
That's a great question. Really, it's those national awards is where you see that happen. We don't currently do that across Cadet Command where we pick one every year. And that's just because as the Army changes, Cadet Command changes, there's also the way everything is structured. But as of just last year, the latest changes, we now belong to Recruiting Command. So they've recognized that ROTC is a part of the drive to recruit more young Americans to serve. We're certainly looking for those who want to continue their education and get a bachelor's degree and be leaders, but we're part of the overall group that's trying to get young people to enlist as well. And so that's one of the latest changes that's happened in Cadet Command. And we rank very highly all of our cadets. The way I personally like to rank it is how well they do in receiving their job of choice when they leave. And over the last 3 years, we're at a 95% rate of cadets receiving their first choice of their job, which means they have scored well with grades, they've scored well when they are learning their Army drills and performing, and then they've scored very well in their OML. Every year we have cadets in the top 15 to 20 of the nation.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm always very impressed with the amount of education and training the cadets are doing while they are students. So they have to keep the academics up, but the Army physical fitness tests these days is tougher than everything I did when I was in uniform. And so they are really participative, and they are involved even to the point of delivering basketball games from the rafters and rappelling down at ball games.
Absolutely. The cadets, while they're students, they have to go to class every day, but then they're with us early in the mornings. We start at 0550 for physical training to make sure that they have an opportunity to get prepared for all the physical requirements, and we are done and they're ready to start class by 8 o'clock.
It's kind of like being an athlete, I guess, at the university, but a little more rigorous.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, the term is called warrior athlete. That is usually what is designated for those that we want to be future leaders. And it doesn't mean you have to be the best at everything, but we're going to train you and give you the opportunity to better yourself as you learn to lead and become a leader. And that's what we want, leading America's sons and daughters. And so that's what we strive to produce and have been successful at it for 75 years, and a great opportunity to recognize it.
And then April 10th is the date that you can be a part of this to recognize it, the anniversary celebration.
And it'll start at 11 a.m. And I know parking on campus is always a challenge, but this time we have the small parking lot right off of Middle Tennessee at the Tom Jackson building where the memorial for veterans is. But if that's full, we'll give them a parking pass and they can park right there in the Bell Street lot and walk straight there. So we've got that part covered, because I know that's always a challenge there because the university has construction going on, still building, very active.
And as we close this morning, I know we're pretty much out of time, but is there anything else we need to know about this event April 10th?
I think the real key is for people to come to at least acknowledge the importance, service to the nation, because every man or woman who signs up for this really is committing themselves to serve the nation. I'd also like to note Representative Tim Rudd, who helped us get the House resolution to acknowledge the anniversary date, and we've got that be part of the ceremony, and so I think it's a big hooah day for us.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Well, thank you both for joining us. Again, ROTC program at MTSU, and our guest today, Colonel Ricky Smith and Lieutenant Colonel Arlen Wilshire. Stay with us. We do have more news coming your way next.
Talking with Rutherford County newsmakers for 78 years. This is the WGNS Action Line.
Hi, this is Tina Fox at the Rutherford Farmers Co-op. Come visit us for all your clothing, gift, pet, garden needs. We also have a great selection of farm needs if you're needing to work out on the farm with fencing, or also a great hunting section. Just anything you would need for the home and farm. Come visit us at Rutherford Farmers Co-op, 985 Middle Tennessee Boulevard, just off of South Church. And make sure you check us out on our website, rutherfordfarmerscoop.com. And like us on Facebook and Instagram.